this session is on water sharing and cooperation between Israel, Palestine, and Jordan. And we have representatives of all these three areas right here. We have Akram Rabadi from Jordan. He's the advisor to the Minister of Water and Irrigation. We have here Abdelrahman Tamimi from the Palestinian Hydrology Group, the Director General, and the Deputy Director General of the Israel Water Authority, Oded Fixler. So we're all represented here. Now, water is the most important commodity in the world. It's finite, and we have to make the best use of it. In fact, if we go to other planets, what do we look for? Only water. So it's a very important topic, and we have to handle this so that it's shared across borders. Also, water knows no borders. It goes wherever it flows, and it is not enough. On this, we see that little bubble, and that's the amount of water. If we put it in the seas and the rivers and the lakes, if we put it all together, it's just a little bubble like that. And here we see the amount of salt water is 97.5% in the world, and just 2.5% is fresh water that we can use without the technology of desalination, water treatment, water reuse. So it is a finite product. Whereas the world population is not finite, it's growing. It was 3 billion in 1950 and grows, and we expect about 9 billion in 2050. So the number of people who require not only drinking water, but for industry, for agriculture, for all purposes. So it's technology that comes to help with this. Now, we have here the three representatives, and we'll first hear Akram Rabadi from Jordan, who will talk about this sharing and hopefully leading to cooperation, peace. So, Akram.
Thank you. Thank you, Miriam. I think I will start from...
No, this is not...
No.
Wrong
one.
If you want me to present it, I can do. Don't worry. Okay.
I have no problem.
No.
This is different.
No, I'm not going to present right now. No, not now, but the other one, please.
The one he gave you before.
Yeah, the other one.
No.
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 No. It's not here. No.
He gave it to you before.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
it's okay.
Well, meanwhile, I can mention that I am Miriam Balaban from the European Desalination Society and MIT, and also the editor of the journal Desalination and Water Treatment.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, there we are.
Thank you. I know that everybody is tired right now, but I will start from where Miriam was finished. Peace. In the Middle East, if you are talking about all the peace and the cooperation between people, in the Middle East, between Israel, Jordan, and Palestine, we have a special case. Before I'm going just to present my presentation and to complete the discussion with you. I would like to read a very nice story to you. And this story have been done 4,100 years. And the topic of this story was the peace, but it was depend on water. The water was the subject of this peace. This story have been done in the book of Genesis, chapter 21. It said, then Abraham told Abimelech about a well of water. Abimelech's servants had said that the well belonged to them and not to Abraham. Abimelech said, I don't know who has done this. You did not tell me before. I only heard about it today. Abraham brought sheep and cows. He gave them to Abimelech. The two men made an agreement, covenant, promise. Abraham separated 7 young female sheep from the other sheep. Abimelech asked Abraham, why you have separated 7 young female sheep? What does this mean? Abraham replied, take these 7 young female sheep from my hand. You know why I dug this well. This shows that you know it. So he called that place Beersheba. He called it that because the two men made a promise over there. After years of Abraham's death, Abraham was dead, and after years, there is a fighting also have been happened between, because of the digging wells, water wells, and I can't tell you how this fight became a peaceful coexistence because of water. In chapter 26, years after Abraham's death, the book said, during that time, Abimelech came to Ishaq, the son of Abraham. He came from Gerar. He came with Ahzath, his officer, and with Phicol, the officer of his army. Ishaq asked them, why you have come to me? You were like an enemy, and you sent me away. They replied, we saw that the Lord is with you. So we said to one another, there should be a covenant, promise between us and you. So let us make a convention with you. Promise that you will not hurt us. We did not hurt you. We did only good to you, and we sent you away as friends. And now the Lord is blessing you. Then Ishaq makes a large meal for them. You know that the meal in the Middle East showed that they are agreed to keep the promise. And they all ate and drank. Early the next morning, they made a promise to each other, and Ishaq sent them away. They left without fighting. The same day, Ishaq's servants came to him. They told him about a well that they had dug. They said, we have found water. Ishaq called the well Shaba, and the name of the town is Beersheba, to confirm what his father Abraham was done some years ago. And now, we are after 4,100 years in the same conditions. But as a Jordanian, as a Palestinians also, we did a peace agreement and peace treaty. The Palestinians have signed Oslo I in 1993 and Oslo II in 1995, and the Jordanians have signed a peace treaty with Israel in 26 of October 1994. Since the last 3 days, a voice in my mind and a lot of questions came. Why we, as an expert in water, and you expert in your fields, why we are not, and we are in the middle of the whole show, in the whole map. In the top of the map, there is the decision makers who can decide the politics, who can decide for the nations, and in the top of the map, there are the people, and we are in the middle. And this voice is just asking why we are not doing something else. Why we are not use the water as a tool for peace, not a tool for war, not a tool for conflicts. Thank you. Peace is not a magic word. It is something related to our willing. Are we will to do it? Are we will to accomplish or not? Cooperation with Israel as a Jordanian, working with the government. I have almost 33 years in my field in the water. I am advisor to the Minister of Water and Irrigation, as well as I am advisor to the Secretary General of Water Authority of Jordan. I try from my position to help, and I try from my position to make influence on the decision maker to take the good decisions for our benefit, for the benefits of our people. I will go with you a little bit before I start also my presentation. The background of the cooperation with Israel. We start with Israel in 1998, in 1980s. The progress has been made on the ground between Jordan and Israel to increase water from Yarmouk River to King Abdullah Canal, which is the main canal in the Jordan Valley. We use it for both, for irrigation, and we use it for drinking water. And because of the trustful atmosphere and the solid relation, these meetings have been developed to what we call it in that time, picnic table talks. Picnic table talks, because most of these meetings have been happened in the Jordan Valley. So it looked like the names, it takes their names from the place that where they was meeting. After that, these meetings have been entered to direct negotiation since 1991, after the procedures to establish the peace conference in Madrid, 1991. And from 1991 up to 1994, when we made a peace treaty with Israel. The peace treaty in general in that time was a comprehensive agreement, including water, and including not also water, but the water-related matters in the north of Jordan for the Jordan River and the Yarmouk River, and for the south of Jordan related to the groundwater which have been used by Israel for some years ago. Also, but the issue in this treaty is not dealt with the allocation of water between the two parties. They are not saying that how much water that Jordan is deserved or how much water that Israel is deserved in that time. They keep it, that flexible for the future, so that the joint water joint committee have to deal with this one later on. According to this, just to make the story short, according to this treaty, both parties have been agreed in 3 quantities of water to be supplied from Israel to Jordan for drinking purposes. First, 25 million cubic meter per year, which should be stored from Yarmouk River in Lake of Tiberias in the winter time, and in the summertime they have to return it back to Jordan. The second is around 10 cubic meter from the desalination water. And the third is 50 million, additional 50 million cubic meter, this is the core of our subject. The 50 million cubic meter have been left to be decided by the Joint Water Committee later on. Directly, just to talk about the cooperation, the Jordan government have been formed a committee in that time, in 1995. I was member of that. And we sit with the Israelis in Derby, London, in UK for a month with a team from Palestine and team from Israel, just to talk and just to make everything near to each other, to exchange ideas and thoughts. But the 50 million cubic meter they have lifted away, and they dealt in 1998. Jordan received the first quantity from Israel, and since that time, we receive from Israel, according to peace treaty, 35 million cubic meter each year. Even more this year, according to our water budget in Jordan, we receive from Israel 55 million cubic meter. The extra over the 35 paid to Israel just for the operational, just a minimum cost. How we can solve the other 50, the additional 50? Since that time, both parties, they are looking to solve this problem. And a few years ago, it was agreed for a Dead Sea project. As a result, and as a fruit of this coordination with Israel. And this is the one that I try just to give you some information about this project, which is, I think, this project is the future for Jordan. And I can say for our friends in Israel and our brothers in Palestine, this is the future for our generations. We cannot live without this kind of project. We cannot live if we cannot do it at all. We are in Jordan, we are facing a shortage in drinking water, especially in the northern part of Jordan, because you know that right now in Jordan we have 1.6 million Syrians refugees. The government, they said last month 1.4, but the correct number is 1.6. I think that the number is even more than this, because some of the Syrians came to Jordan before the crisis in Syria. And we have almost, right now we have 80,000 from Libya, and we have 50,000 from Yemen. Beside, that we have almost 600,000 workers from Egypt, and we have from Sri Lanka and maids, we have around 300. So we have a lot. The demography in Jordan have been changed since the last 4 years. This project is the future. For that reason, we have a good coordination between Palestine and Jordan. And after all of this good coordination in different levels, starting from the Prime Minister to the Minister and down to the experts, we have reached to the Memorandum of Understanding with Israel in 2013. Could I go with this way? Okay. The objectives of this project is to establish a secure and reliable and affordable water supply source for Jordan while saving the Dead Sea from extinction. and support the widespread economic growth in Jordan. The project promises, in the first 2 points, a comprehensive solution to 2 problems affecting Jordan. First, Jordan is the 3rd most water-poor country in the world. Jordan's per capita right now, the availability of the water is around 140 meter cube per year per capita, which is approximately just 14% of the internationally recognized water poverty level, which is around, that the average internationally is 1,000 meter cube per capita. One of the objectives, the main objectives also for this project, is to provide for potential regional water sharing and building a symbol of peace and cooperation in the region. And I think that we are in our way to do that with Israel and Palestine. And the 4th one is to facilitate private and public partnership through a build, operate, transfer project. This project will be based on build, operate, transferred, so that we have part of the cost will be paid by some donors and from the government of Jordan, and the big part, which is 2/3 of this phase 1 cost, it will be furnished by investors. Why Jordan needs Red Sea, Dead Sea projects? Our deficit in 2015, we estimated that the total deficit will be 263 million for residential and non-residential demand. And by 2035, the deficit will be around 600 million cubic meter. This picture shows you the Dead Sea in 1960 until expected, that the computer projection 2050. You can see that the area, how much shrinkage, that from 1,000 kilometers to almost to half. Yeah. Sinkholes, this is one of the issues in the Dead Sea. Sinkholes are common where the rock below the land surface is limestone or carbonate rock or salt bits or rocks that can naturally be dissolved by groundwater circulating through them. Typically, sinkholes form so slowly that the little change is noticeable, but they can form suddenly when a collapse occurs. Okay. This is, that the history of the Dead Sea. The main finding that what the World Bank that find it that the Dead Sea project is visible from engineering perspectives. In the first idea we was thinking that to have a buried pipeline, but I think that the first line that we think about the tunnel, but that in the end, that we think that the buried pipeline is less cost for the whole project. Project ultimate capacity, the total one is 850 million cubic meter per year of desalination water from Aqaba Sea. The brine discharge estimated to be 1.2 million cubic meter per year. Jordan share estimated to have 630 million cubic meter per year. This is after all the phases, not the phase 1. Phase 1 is different. I will go, that for what is Red Sea, Dead Sea phase 1, down is to desalinate around 65 to 85 million cubic meter, that at Aqaba, swap it with Israel about 35 to 50 million cubic meter in the north of Jordan. This is the idea behind the project. The northern part of Jordan suffer a lot. They have a shortage. We have around 2.5 million living in 4 governorate of Jordan. This is the distance between the north part and to Aqaba, it's around 400 kilometers. It's costly for us to convey the water from Aqaba to the north. So that our friend, the Israelis, came with the idea to this project. Why you are not selling us the treated water, the desalination water in Aqaba, and we can give you as a swab the same quantity from the Lake of Tiberias in the north, which is, that few kilometers from the border. This was a very, I think that, very, very nice, that idea, very good idea. I think that this is, that helped both parties. We agreed directly as a government of Jordan for that, and this is the reason to complete this project. The brine water is estimated to be 150, implementation based on built, operate, transferred. The estimated project cost in phase 1, it will cost around $1 billion. Okay, this is the project. As you can see, the intake down, and the pipeline, it will be constructed in the border between Israel and Jordan. 20 kilometers from the sea, we will construct, the treatment plant. And from the treatment plant down to the Dead Sea, around 200 kilometers, the brine will go there. This is the other picture, and this is the schematic of the pictures, shows you much better. This is, that the intake inside, this is very, I think, very difficult and complicated structure, because we have to go around, 100 meters, that horizontally to the sea. And this is, some technical issues. And what has been done till now, this is, memorandum of understanding have been signed in December 9, 2013 between Jordan Palestine Authority and Israel. Also as a follow-up on the memorandum of understanding with the support of Jordan, a draft bilateral agreement with Israel have been done to give the Palestinians 30 million cubic meter with affordable price. Right now, I think we signed also some kind of an agreement between us and Israel in February 26, 2015. And we put, that the items, the agreed items, which one of them is Israel have to appoint a consultants for this project from their side, and the consultant from our side. Both consultants, they are going just to oversee the project for 24 months. And this is the timetable of the project. I think, that as I talked, that last night with Mr. Oded, I think by the end of this month, this year, we will select our consultants. Already Israel selected their consultants. They will sit together. And just for the BQ, for the consultants, I think that maybe next year we'll finish to select the contractors. The notice to proceed will, I think, 2017. This is the timetable. By 2020, this project will be finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Akram. I know there's much more to tell.
I have not much to talk, but I will have to give some more,
Yeah, sorry, we had to
It's okay.
to give everybody a chance. There's a lot to say.
Yeah.
So now Oded Fixler will tell about the Israel plans and the desalination and the entire picture. And
Yes.
let you.
Okay. As Akram said, maybe all the things about this cooperation between the Kingdom of Jordan, Israel, and the Palestinians, I cannot help but start looking back to the biblical time, as the biblical era, as Akram was saying, because you know that in this region, the water stress is a well-known fact. You know that even during the biblical time, Israel or inhabitants of Israel went down to Egypt And why did they went down to Egypt? They went down to Egypt because there was no water in Israel, and there was no storage in Israel. But in Egypt, they had the Nile. And with the Nile, people can come to Egypt and grow crops and grow animals and have something to eat. And you know that Joseph with the dreams was a consultant of Paro at that time. And Joseph advised him that after 7 bad years, there will be 7 good years. And that's what was in the Bible. It's still there. It's still there. In the Middle East, the water stress is very high. Akram said, and I accept it, that per capita, the average supply is not more than 140, 150 cubic meters per person per annum. It's way below the 500 cubic meters per annum per capita that is set in the UN regulation as beneath the drought line. So we have to use water in a sustainable manner. We have to use water only the replenishment, the recharge of water. And if you are looking in Israel, we have about 1.2 billion cubic meters a year of natural replenishment, which varies from year to year in a standard deviation of about half a billion cubic meters a year. And we have to plan accordingly our water grid, our water system. So we also want to use the water in a sustainable manner, and we can only use then water that are coming from replenishment. And as I said, the natural replenishment is 1.2 billion cubic meters a year, while the yearly demand is more than 2 billion cubic meters a year. So we have to prepare for this. And how do we prepare for this? We introduce non-conventional water resources, such as water reuse. We are using now about 85 to 90% of all our effluents, and of course, seawater desalination facilities. We have now 5 large seawater desalination facilities, which produce 600 million cubic meters a year right now. And so, with these things, water in its natural shape, it's free commodity. Many of the people in the world think that since water comes from precipitation, it costs nothing. But it costs nothing, it's its natural shape. And if it's not in natural shape, you want to bring water to the tap, to open the tap, that there will be water, to splash the water into the toilet, to treat the sewage. You have to do all these things, and these things cost money. It's not for free. So, when talking about regional cooperation, as we know that the water are scarce, and as we know that we have to treat the water and to use the water in efficient manner and use efficient methods of irrigation, such as drip irrigation and other methods. And of course, we have to conserve water. We have to have a price tag to the water. And if we have a price tag to the water, then we can decrease the consumption, that the consumption will be more rational. We want every country in the region to have equitable and equitable use of water. We are sharing the natural water, the aquifers, and we are sharing it with Jordan Kingdom and with the Palestinians. And what do we have? We have, with the Palestinians, interim agreement since 1995. And according to this interim agreement, we have a water section. According to this water section, we divided the mountain aquifer to two. The western part, the Palestinians can withdraw through wells about 36 million cubic meters a year, and all the rest go to Israel. In the eastern aquifer, Israel can withdraw about 40 million cubic meters a year, and the rest of it goes to the Palestinians. In 1995, we transported about 23 million cubic meters a year to the Palestinian Authority. And this is the interim agreement. But since and we also calculated and signed in the interim agreement that the future use of the Palestinians will be 70 to 80 additional quantities, 70 to 80 million cubic meters a year. Right now, instead of these 23 million cubic meters a year, we are supplying about more than 60 million cubic meters a year. And also we increased the water supply to Gaza, which we are not there anymore, from 5 million cubic meters a year to 10 only in this April. We support the Gaza desalination plants. We support the initiative to Gaza to be independent of the Israel water system and build their own desalination plant. I hope it will come true in the near future. We are willing to help it. As for the relationship with Jordan, I think Akram told all. The project is the Red Dead, and phase one, we are doing this phase one because we want to study the outcomes of the environmental impact of this project on the Arava and on the Dead Sea and on the Red Sea, because we're drawing 2 billion cubic meters a year from the Red Sea can have an harmful effect on the seashore, sea life, on the sea quality, and also 1.2 billion cubic meters a year in the Dead Sea can have harmful effect on the Dead Sea, or the quality of the Dead Sea. And because of that, we are going phase by phase and trying to learn all the aspects that this project is going to affect the natural habitat in the region. As for the project is trilateral, and the trilateral, this is a swap agreement I think all the world could learn from. And what is the swap agreement? We are building together with Jordan this desalination plant and the conveyor system from the Red Sea to the Dead Sea. And from this desalination plant, 30 million cubic meters in the first phase are going to Jordan, 35 are going to southern part of Israel, which has no water at all. The average precipitation there is about 20 to 30 millimeters per year. It's really a desert. And in exchange, we are selling the Jordanians 50 million cubic meters a year of water where they need the water, and they need the water in the northern part of Israel. And we are selling, or going to sell, the Palestinian 30 million cubic meters of additional water in the center of Israel. So this is a one whole project with cooperation of the three sides that is implementing how strong can we be when we are cooperating and not having this water to dispute. Because water should be a means of cooperation, not of violence and dispute.
Now, Abdelrahman Tamimi will have the last word, but it's not the last word because we can have another round and some questions. But let's hear.
Okay, first of
Word
all, I
from
would like
Palestine.
to thank the organizers to put a special session to talk about water problems and solutions in the Middle East, and also thanks to Miriam to chair the session and thank you very much for listening the Palestinians and Israelis and Jordanians problems at the end of the day while you are very tired. That's why I will not make more efforts to you to just to tolerate the Middle East problems. I think the problems is not the numbers actually, how much water goes from Israel or how much water comes from Israel to Jordan, from Jordan. What concerning me as the time dimension. Time is very important because the most scarce resource always time. What does mean time for the Middle East? Not for Israelis, not for Palestinians, not for the whole Middle East. Means doubling the population within 10 years. Every 10 years, the Middle East, our area, double population. This is fact. Regardless we like each other or we don't. But this is fact. Climate change is fact. Now we don't have rain as before in terms of distribution and in terms of quantity. Yesterday we had flood in Jordan in two hours. The flood all the streets because the time changed. We have the same rain actually, but the rainy days is different. The distribution of rain is different. And this will change the whole paradigm of water management, especially for agriculture. And this is because time. And the time also, if we continue argue with Israelis and Jordanians, who is right and who is wrong, we will take 100 years also. While the people in Gaza, they are looking to how to drink enough and clean water. That's why, in my opinion, time is very important. And in the Middle East mentality, time is not exist. Really, I'm talking, time is not exist. Because cannot waiting us. The time is not just the movements of the watch. The time meaning the socio-economic indicators change, poverty, this is just to give you just some data. Poverty increasing in the Middle East, even in Israel, even in Palestine, even in Jordan. Because we are part of the world, and not only part of the world, but also we are the unstable part of the world. That's meaning the poverty increasing. Food security is become less. Water as a basic human right is not protected for anyone. I don't care, you are Muslim, Christian, but to have a drinking water, it is a pure basic human right. A drinking water only. And environmental tensions, as I said, our resources is limited. You know the Jordan River we are talking about? If it is in Europe, nobody will care about it. But it is like the nice lady in the party, everybody looking to it. Really, it's the only service water in the region. That's why it's important. It's in the middle of the desert. That's why it's important. While it's important, we don't care about it. And degradation of the quality of water. In Israel, there is a water problem, in Palestine, in Jordan, which means time dimension, making the demand increasing and the resources decreasing. Now the cleverness, not to keep argue who is right and wrong, the cleverness how to bridge the gap between demand and resources, between demand and supply, with affordable price, with, of course, with economic equation satisfy everybody. Of course, I do recognize desalination in Israel is not the same desalination in Jordan, not the same desalination in Palestine in terms of economy and cost benefit, but it's the only solution because we cannot bring more rain to the region. Even if we reshare the cake is small. It's not a matter how much your piece from the cake, because the cake is small.
That's right. That's right.
The cleverness is how to increase the volume of the cake. Then everyone's share will be more. But this is need 3 conditions to increase that. First, we have to learn from each other. To learn lessons. Jordan, they did institutions several times, ministry, authority. They have lessons and knowledge, and I like the word used by a lady there, harvesting knowledge. We are agricultural community, and we know how to harvest. And we have to know also how to harvest knowledge. Jordan, they have long experience about institutional building. The Palestinians, they are a newborn entity. They have to learn. Israelis also, they passed different institutional building. We have to learn how to face our problems in terms of increasing the share of everybody. But I tell you frankly, I'm scientist, I'm not politician, okay? Let me say I'm hydropolitician. We have to give up our dreams, all the people in the region. We have to give up some dreams. We lived with the dreams 100 years. Didn't work. Regardless who is right and wrong, I don't care. I care how to solve the people problems. The UN report about Gaza last year is Gaza is not the place to live because the quality of water. The people there doesn't care who is minister, who is a prime minister, who is signing agreement, who is signing a protocol. The people, they care how to drink clean water. And desalination is a solution. But also the Palestinians, because their economy is weak relatively, they have to produce economic instruments to afford the cost of desalination. But to keep waiting is not a solution. To blaming each other is not a solution. The only solution is, as I said, and I don't want to keep you long, is to learn how to increase the volume of the cake. Then everybody will taste the cake and his piece will be more bigger. Thank you.
That's good.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I think there's the desire on all fronts here. I would like to stress, though, that Israel has some of the biggest desalination plants in the world. And if this can be shared now, and at the same time plants being built in Gaza, for instance, this is a very quick way forward. And if Oded wants to say any more words about this, do you want to say any more about this, or shall I open to questions about the desalination available for Gaza and the price that could be suitable or made available at a reasonable price, and that it should be then accepted if there's interest? And then we'll open some questions. If you have questions, just raise your hand.
As I said,
Yeah.
we are not Israel is not in Gaza in more than 10 years. So I know roughly what is going in Gaza. I haven't been there since 20 years, I think. And what is going Gaza, when we left Gaza, there were 1,600 wells. This is the coastal aquifer, and wells and the water level is very high there. It's very high. So everybody could drill could drill and withdraw water from the aquifer. Now they have 6,000 wells unauthorized. Their government, the Palestinian government, does not approve these wells, but they have wells. But the quality of the water is not good. Why? Because according to what I said of natural replenishment, the natural replenishment in Gaza is about 60 million cubic meters a year, while they are using from this aquifer 180 million cubic meters a year. It's not sustainable, it's not reliable, it's not good, and the water becomes saline, and because they do not build a sewage treatment plant, part of the sewage goes to the sea, but another part of the sewage goes to the aquifer, and the aquifer deteriorates. Because of that, and even when we have a state of war with the Gaza, with the Hamas government, we increased the water supply from Israel, and we are supplying good water from Israel. We supplied 5 million cubic meters a year, and we doubled it. But this is not enough. This is not enough. And in Gaza, they need to build desalination plant. And there are donors for the construction phase. There are donors that are going to cost about $300 million, something like that. They have also to upgrade their whole conveyance system. And it's going to cost also about few $100 million US dollars. And there are donors for it, for the both things. But the donors say, we want to be sure that you will cover only the operation and maintenance. You will have the proper governance. But if they don't have the proper governance, the donors will not donate the money needed for the construction of the plant and for upgrade of the conveyance system. And because of that, we have to do something together. We support the desalination plant. We supported it in the UFM, and we are going to support it in the UFM in 2 weeks in Luxembourg. And I think we all have to try to realize that this project is essential for Gaza. Thank you.
I agree fully with Abdelrahman and with you also regarding the groundwater. In Jordan, we are right now, I think in Jordan, because the water table became very critical. In Jordan, we have almost around 3,000 ground wells for different purposes. And recently, we started 3 years ago to modify all the regulations and the rules in Jordan. And Jordan right now is the first in the world that they can send the person who can excavate illegal any wells in the country, they can send it to the jail from 6 months to 3 years right now. So, and by that, these regulations, I think we control right now and monitor as well right now the excavation of the wells. I agree also with Abdelrahman regarding, sharing the piece of cake. I agree with him because, that this is the policy and the strategy. When we start with the Israelis about, that how we can solve the quantities, the number is not our matter, but we need our share. We think that dividing the existing source is not wise, but rather we have to increase the water availability. We have to look for new resources. And that's the reason that the Dead Sea is coming to the reality right now. Thank you.
I have not much to add, but actually when I'm saying increasing the volume of the cake, that does not mean everyone can afford the cost of his share. Because the Palestinians, you know, the Palestinians, they are living since 60 years under occupation, and their economy is very weak. That's why I think sharing does not mean equal footing in terms of cost. That's why the Palestinians, they welcome the Red Dead Canal. But I'll tell you frankly, what's the problem? We like to increase the volume. We like to have desalination plants along the canal because they benefit from the differences of elevation. They will up water from 0 at the Red Sea to 250, I think, to the up, then minus 400, and from these differences they will produce power, and the power will be used for desalination. But also we can use brackish water, which is salty, to be desalinated by solar energy, to increase the share of the cake. There is a lot to use agriculture now. Israel and Palestine and Jordan, most of the agriculture now it transferred to the date trees and let me say salty water tolerant agriculture, especially in the Jordan Valley. What I'm trying to say, we have to shift the paradigm of thinking, not to blame, to claim. Not to blame, to claim, because we really, the population growth, Jordan population increased almost 50% because the people who are immigrated from Syria, Iraq, and Libya and Yemen. These people, they want to drink water, and they are really, Jordan cannot say, I don't want to provide you with water. That's why, again and again, time dimension is important. And to create not only one source, multi-sources, to use the wastewater for agriculture, treated wastewater for agriculture, to use the desalinated brackish water, to integrate solar energy, because we have sun 320 days a year in the Jordan Valley. This will decrease the price of desalinated water by using solar energy. There is a lot of solutions. The problem is how to shift our paradigm in thinking, that's all.
Are there any questions? Yes.
Several comments to make. First of all, I think indeed the Dead Sea is an important, but it is long term. I believe Gaza in particular needs water now. I mean, not in 100 years, but in, say, 2-3 years. And we know that a desalination facility, for which we've been talking for years and years, could usually be built in a couple of years. Okay, so that's important. The other thing is, someone mentioned, as is well known, the difficulty of putting the brine in the Dead Sea, and one doesn't know really what it is. One possibility would, of course, have been to build an extra desalination plant and to restore the Jordan River. Yeah, I think it is very important for political reasons between Israel and Jordan to have the present scheme. But I think at some point, since it is possible always to have more desalination plants, one could envisage this. Now, the last thing which I said, and I will stop here, is everyone thinks that, yes, it is, of course, a very nice idea to use solar energy for desalinating water, because after all, we do not know very well how to store energy, but we know how to store water. The caveat is that for water desalination by solar energy, you need surface, you need real estate, and I believe it is not available, particularly in Gaza. So this is a really important thing. So thank you.
Well, as far as I know, using solar energy for desalination is certainly studied a great deal, and there's work in Spain, especially in southern Spain, but it's not yet economical. But I don't know, perhaps using solar energy for desalination. I mean, just now, Israel has the biggest desalination plants in the world, not only in that little coast, and Israel's building in California. But I think with the experience, perhaps solar energy might be used eventually. But right now, as far as I know, maybe Oded, you have more information.
The thing is that there are problems in the solar energy in cost benefit, because right now the current technologies of solar energy are quite expensive. And it's also not only expensive, it's land consuming.
Exactly.
You have to take a lot of land in order to produce solar energy. I think that in the Red Dead, we are trying to implement hydroelectric power station. And with the hydroelectric power station that will exploit the height difference, which is more than 400 meters between the Red Sea and the Dead Sea, we can produce clean energy, but it's not enough even to the small project. We can produce from this high difference about 12 to 15 megawatt, and we need about 50 for the desalination plant.
I think solar energy is still, I believe, for brackish water, for small scale projects is working. In Gaza is work, in Jordan Valley is work, and in the Jordanian side, there is a lot of pilot projects and results. I'm not talking theory, actually. There is pilot project showing that the solar energy can reduce the cost of desalinated water, because when you desalinated water, the brackish water, if you reduce 300 ppm or 400 ppm will be enough for agriculture. You don't need to take all the salts from the water. Just to reduce the salinity, to be tolerant to by products like palm trees or other plants. I think the solution is there. But as this is what I believe personally, we have to give up. As the Israelis, they have to give up occupier mentality, and we have to give up occupied psychology.
We have time for one last question. We're already very late.
Je crois que nous sommes tous d'accord. La solution technique, on la trouvera. Que ce soit... Excusez-moi, je répète. Je crois que nous sommes tous d'accord.
We agree on the technical solution, and I remember with Robert when we organized some meetings on this subject. Well, I would like to put this question very clearly. At what level actually politicians agree? Are there a certain international organization, such as the International Monetary Fund, that was even, in fact, ready prepared to invest some money into this? However, if it's only a question of 2 or 3 people, for instance, and people provoking things and blocking, however, the whole region, and then there are many casualties, people who suffer and who are damaged. And it is a question of resolving the problem, the gist of the problem, because technically speaking, actually we are ready, but is there political willingness to do it? Thank you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
There's just one last question, maybe.
Are new breakthroughs for desalination at view, new evolution of desalination methods at view? I mean... Est-ce qu'il y a des nouvelles méthodes de
Are there any new desalination methods in you
qui sont en cours d'évolution?
that are being developed?
Well, there are new methods being developed all the time. There's a lot of research. In fact, come next year to the meeting of the European Desalination Society in May in Rome. You can hear of all the methods. There's a lot of research going on and constant looking for ways to lower the energy requirement, which is one of the greatest costs. And this is an ongoing situation. And in Israel, too, there are these plants that constantly renew the methodology, and the technology is constantly being studied. The environment, the environmental effects, etc. So this is going, even solar, but as Oded said, that solar is still expensive, but it's not that it's not being studied all the time. I mean, we hold courses even in solar desalination, and there are some experimental plants. But we know that in order to build big plants, this has to be worked on. So it's not a constant thing. It's a very lively, very active research and technology. So, are there any other?
I just,
answer.
I
Yes.
think, you ask about the political willing. If you ask, is there political willing in Jordan? Yes, we have. The reason for that, we don't have plan B. We have plan A. This is the only plan we have. Accept it or leave it. We accept it. This is the only thing. Yeah, thank you.
Well, there has to be political will to give and to receive.
No, that's the willing, just to have the cooperation.
Yes.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah.
The willing to have
It's-
cooperation to solve. Yes, that's right.
So it's both ways.
No, I don't want, because we agreed this is scientific community and we will be talking in open mind. It's not political argument, but unfortunately most of I have to say, the number said is not correct. But this is not the issue. In my opinion, the issue, as I said, the first word I said, the Gaza people, when they have no drinking water, the dignity of the people is. I was with WHO mission before two months in Gaza. Sorry to say, they drinking their shits. Regardless who is wrong, who is right, but this people, 80% of Jabalia refugees camps people, children, they have waterborne disease. We cannot wait until UN taking decision or Palestinian state create. The people, they cannot live. And after that, don't ask them to throw flowers. Of course they will throw rockets. The people looking for water as part of their dignity.